I came back after a year, expecting my quiet little lot to be exactly as I left it, a small piece of peace in the middle of a suburban neighborhood. But what I saw made my jaw drop. Scaffolding, cement mixers, and construction crews were everywhere, and right in the middle of my property. Someone was building a massive mansion. My heart raced. This was my land, my property, and yet here it was, being claimed, redesigned, and occupied by the HOA like it was their personal playground. I stormed over, waving my deed, demanding an explanation, and one worker looked at me and said casually, "Talk to the HOA. They said you abandoned this property. It's going to be a community luxury retreat." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I grabbed my papers and marched straight to the HOA office, determined to confront whoever thought they could take over my land. Inside, Mrs. Hornsworth, the HOA president, sat like a queen, calmly sipping tea, as if she had all the time in the world. She told me, with perfect composure, that the HOA had voted internally to take over my lot. My blood boiled. I reminded her that eminent domain doesn't apply to a homeowners association and that this was outright illegal. She just smiled, acting like I had made a mistake by being overseas for a year. I didn't argue, I didn't yell. Instead, I left quietly, called my lawyer, and hired a surveyor. Every inch of my land was documented, every step of the HOA's trespassing, unauthorized construction, and misuse of funds recorded. We prepared carefully. There was no rush, no shouting, just meticulous planning. Once we had everything, the deeds, surveys, photographs, and proof of illegal activity, we filed a cease and desist and a full-blown lawsuit against the HOA. The construction continued for a few days, but the tension was building. The HOA didn't realize that patience, preparation, and law would hit harder than anger ever could. Every worker on my land was now unknowingly part of my plan. I imagined their surprise when the courts would see the mountain of evidence against them. I even caught Mrs. Hornsworth pacing, nervous for the first time since she became president. The court proceedings were intense. I watched, heart pounding, as my attorney laid out the evidence piece by piece. Every unauthorized brick, every trespass, every internal vote that had no legal standing came to light. The judge, with the kind of calm authority that makes your knees weak, ruled completely in my favor. Construction had to stop immediately. The HOA had no claim, and they were responsible for damages they couldn't pay. And just like that, the half-built mansion, their ambitious plan to steal my land, became mine legally. I could barely contain my excitement, imagining finishing it my way, selling it, and showing them exactly what happens when someone messes with your property. I hired my own crew and transformed the half-built mansion into exactly what I wanted. Rooms were redesigned, walls reinforced, and landscaping done perfectly. Once finished, I sold it for a massive profit, enough to make anyone in the HOA reconsider ever crossing me. But I didn't stop there. Around my original property, I built a tall, imposing wall, topped with a sign that read, "Private property, HOA not allowed." Every morning, as I walk past Mrs. Hornsworth's house, she pretends not to see me, but I know she does. Watching her choke on her own arrogance is the sweetest part of my return. She had thought she could claim my land while I was gone, but I showed her exactly who she was dealing with. Returning after a year wasn't just about reclaiming property. It was about reclaiming respect. The HOA learned a lesson they would never forget. You don't touch someone's land without consequences. From that day on, my lot remained untouched, secure, and completely mine. Every brick, every inch, every corner stood as proof that preparation, patience, and knowledge are stronger than arrogance and entitlement. And whenever I think back to that moment, seeing the mansion rise on my land, I smile. They thought they were clever, but in reality, they had walked straight into their own lesson. The quiet lot I left a year ago became a symbol of victory, patience, and justice done right.